Now let's get back to the top story and the fact that the Australian Energy Market Operator has suspended the market, suspended our national electricity market. Here's how they explain their actions.
It's a confluence of factors at the moment. What we've seen is a large amount of generators have withdrawn their availability from the national electricity market. They're facing higher costs. We've faced high demand profiles due to the cold weather. Input costs have increased due to international factors. We've had a few transmission line outages, etc., and then which has resulted in a price cap. Since that price cap was implemented, we've seen a number of generators withdraw their availability from the market, which has led to it being impossible for us to operate.
Let me bring in Daniel Wild, who's the Director of Research at the Institute of Public Affairs. Good to talk to you again, Daniel. I mean, AEMO themselves, of course, have played a role in all this because they've been reassuring people for years that no worries, all these climate policies are all right, we're switching in renewables and we've got adequate backup. But well, obviously, that's all nonsense. They're caught short in the here and now.
Well, you're 100% right, Chris. Lovely to be with you. This is, to put it simply, the energy crisis that Australia did not have to have. The crisis that we're seeing in terms of shortages and price hikes is the consequence of policy decisions taken by both sides of government at the state and federal level. And now for a number of years at the federal level, we've got the policy of net zero emissions by 2050, again supported by both the Coalition and Labor, which has the effect of essentially making coal commercially unviable, preferencing wind and solar power. But of course, the renewables can't get the job done. So then you have more pressure put on gas generators and gas operators. That's then met with reams and reams of red tape and bans and moratoria at the state level, particularly in Victoria. And so what you basically have is a series of events caused by public policy where we've got a supply shortage pushing up prices. And the other point I'd make, Chris, is it's very rare in the world of public policy and in politics to get a window into the future. But what we're seeing today and what we've seen materialise over the last couple of weeks is Australia's future under the policy of net zero. It won't just be a few days in winter where you have to turn your heaters off for a couple of hours. We're looking at really systemic structural problems to our energy system. And as you identify, we are missing that critical leadership by both those in the political realm and also those in other public sector bodies.
I don't know how many warnings we need. We had South Australia go completely dark because without an interconnector from Victoria, they had no way of generating any electricity. We've seen brownouts, as they call them, on summer days when there's peak demand. As I said at the top of the show, they should be called greenouts because they're caused by these green policies, reducing our dispatchable power availability. But the answer being proposed by Labor at the moment is to just build out more transmission so we can get more renewable energy in. That doesn't deal with the problem of intermittence and the lack of storage.
You're 100% right, Chris. It doesn't deal with those problems, and we need solutions for the here and the now. We need 24/7 baseload power that, as you say, is dispatchable. That can come from two sources. It can come from coal or it can come from nuclear. As I say, at the moment, under net zero, there's no new coal coming on. As a matter of fact, we know that over the next decade, 6 coal-fired power stations are slated to be decommissioned. Now, that's going to take off an additional 20% of Australia's energy generation needs on top of the shortages that we've already got. Of course, nuclear power is something that remains banned in Australia as a technology which can deliver also that reliable baseload power supply. And so the key issue here is we need to get more out of our existing coal-fired power stations, and we also need a policy environment that is conducive towards investment in new coal-fired power stations, in addition to exploring more opportunities to be able to develop and explore for coal, because there's two issues. There's the stations, and then there's getting coal out of the ground. We've got net zero, which is discouraging the stations, and regulation and red tape that stops the exploration of coal, in addition to the ban we have on nuclear.
It's extraordinary to see this unfold. Thanks for explaining it to us, Daniel.
Pleasure. Thanks, Chris.
Daniel Wild there. Now, don't make the mistake that this is all happening by accident. This is not the way it's supposed to happen. This is what the aim of the policy is. That's why we've had renewable energy targets and all sorts of other green policies. It's to favour renewables and drive out of the system dirty coal power. Well, it's worked. It's worked real well. The only problem is we need that coal power. We need reliable power. And the idea that New South Wales, people of New South Wales tonight are being told to conserve energy. There'll be people worried about their electricity bills anyway, and otherwise conserve energy on a cold night when they need energy. That's what being a developed country is all about, reliable energy. And we're doing this to ourselves, a first world energy-rich country. It's almost beyond belief.